Hey guys, it's Tag from Dash 6. I know that it's been a long time since I've done a video. Unfortunately, 2020 has been somewhat of a interesting year so far, dealing with COVID at work and the workplace, trying to keep my family safe with it or from it at home. It's just been a really crazy year. Did get a new camera, still trying to figure out how it works. Even though it's a GoPro, I still haven't been able to figure it out completely yet. Still had some problems with the SD card not having enough memory to do some videos. So I have a few projects that I started and never got around to putting them online, so we'll try this one. First thing I need to say though is I want to thank all the veterans out there for their service, with today being Veterans Day. It is a little rainy, but you know, they come first. Again, thank you to all the veterans. What we're going to be doing now on this video is talk about the BMW. I have a 2001 BMW e38 740i Sport. I kind of acquired the car from a neighbor. I did some work on it for him before, put an alternator on and did some work with the brakes, and that neighbor ended up moving and I acquired the car. They moved and the car sat for maybe almost a year before I got it, and it maybe sat for a year before they moved. I got a call from the neighbor after they moved out of state, and he called me, asked me if I was interested in the car, asked him how much, and he said nothing, just take it, we'll send you the title, bring you the keys, and it's your problem to deal with. So I said sure, I like a good challenge. I knew that when he had it, there was a problem with it wouldn't start, and so when I got it, I just started going through everything to figure out what the issue was with the start no run. I wasn't getting any power to the fuel pump, and I wasn't getting any power to the injectors, so I figured it was going to be a wiring issue. So I went through the entire car with wiring, didn't find any shorts or any broken wires or anything, any breaks in the circuits or the electrical system. So I'd attribute it down to the EWS, the DME, and the EWS DME system. So I ended up getting the DME worked on, and sure enough, that's what the problem was. I ended up finding a guy on eBay that worked on DME issues for the 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder engines, and I reached out to him with an email, and he said he doesn't work on V8s, so I left it at that. And I guess, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks had gone by, and he replied back to another email and said that he'd like to take a look at it. If I didn't mind sending it to him, he'd see what he could do. And so his name was Alex. I can put his information in the description on the video if anyone wants to reach out to him. But anyway, he took the DME and he was able to get it reprogrammed. And so basically this car has an unlocked DME. Had the EWS delete done. He took the Ridline restrictions off of it, and he also turned off the emissions, but our state doesn't have emissions, so I wasn't really worried about that. So now it runs, but I ran into another problem, and that's where we're at today with this car. So as you can tell, it runs now since he did the DME work. But the problem that I have now is I got an engine tick on the 1 through 4 cylinder side, and I know that the chain, the timing chain guides are probably gone on it, but I think I have a stuck lifter. So we're going to tackle on replacing the timing chain guides, take the camshafts off, pull the lifters out, inspect the lifters, and see if we can get that engine tick going. So we're going to be tackling that on this video. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to piece it all together. As far as video wise, I'm not going to record the whole process, probably just show stages of where I've taken stuff off and putting stuff back together. I really haven't had a chance to drive the car to let the guy know how it runs since he did the DME work, because I've ran into problems ever since I got it started. Well, one of them was I had a split in the valve cover, so I had to get that fixed, and then I had to replace a sensor. I highly recommend do not use cheap aftermarket sensors on this engine or any BMW engine. Buy the original BMW sensors. You're just going to waste your money. I learned the hard way. So what I did spend on this car so far was I bought the crankshaft sensor, camshaft sensors. There's two, since this is a V8. I've had to buy a new battery, a brake line, and then I'll show you what's in the trunk. Since we knew we were going to do this job and have everything off, I went ahead and got a new water pump to go in the car. This is a it's got a metal cast impeller on it. There are the timing chain guides. I got the bottom set plus the up for the oilers, gaskets for the valve or the timing covers, oil pan, top and bottom gasket. But you cannot do this job without this set of tools right here. This is the timing kit, and I did buy the cheap Chinese one, but we'll see how it goes. I may or may not be able to do this correctly without having a code show up, and then I'll have to probably just break down and buy the German one. But for right now, this is all I could get my hands on. I had to get the timing chain kit, or the timing kit, and you cannot do this job without this. The kit was fairly inexpensive for this one. It's the Chinese one. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll have a code pop up afterwards. But it comes with the camshaft locks, the socket to pull out the Vanos solenoids. I think that's what they're called. Chain tensioner. These are the position brackets to hold the Vanos timing sprocket in place, and then it comes with the flywheel lock and everything. I paid, I think, 80 bucks for this. All in all, I have like $240 sitting in the trunk just to do the timing and get the timing chain guides replaced. I think from what I've seen, it would have been like a $4,500 to a $5,000 job, depending on where you take it. Could find somebody cheaper to do it. But I have to give credit to Nathan's BMW DIY and also the 50s Kid on YouTube, both those YouTube channels. That's where I've gotten most of my process on how I'm going to do this. But I definitely wanted to give a shout out to both of those guys. They have great channels. I highly recommend watching both of them. There's also the BMW Doctor that's out of the UK. He's another YouTuber that's got a really good channel, and you can get a lot of information off of him. But I do highly recommend Nathan's BMW DIY and the 50s Kid. I'll probably be going back and viewing stuff over between those two channels while I'm doing this, but I just wanted to make sure that they are mentioned in what I'm doing, and that I highly recommend their channel to anyone that wants to work on a BMW or owns a BMW. Even if you don't want to work on it yourself, it just gives you an idea of what to expect when you do take it somewhere, so that somebody doesn't try to rip you off. So check out those two channels. Highly recommend them, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm expecting some rain coming today, so I'm going to move the car in the middle of the driveway and put a canopy up over it. I do not have a garage yet. I'm still working on one. I don't have anywhere to put this car to do this, so I'm going to be doing underneath of a canopy. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Alright guys, so I think I beat the rain. Well, it got ahead of me a little bit, but I was able to put this up. I've got the car underneath. I'm using my phone also doing this video. So I've got the car underneath this canopy, and it's just kind of keep the main water off of me while I'm working on this. I will take the parts when I get the engine broken down. I will be taking those parts and putting them somewhere else so they're not exposed to the weather, while I get like timing covers and valve covers cleaned and everything. Wow, traffic today. I took off work for today, tomorrow, and Friday just so I can get this done. You know, it's a shame that, you know, the car got to where the condition that it's in now. I'm hoping to correct some of that. It's not the fault of the neighbor. It's just, you know, we live out in the middle of nowhere and nobody really works on these things where we live, and you know, it's an hour drive to take it to a reputable shop that can work on it, and you know, life I'm sure got in the way with things. Luckily I, you know, don't have to take vehicles to a shop, but you know, I wasn't going to work on it when it wasn't mine, but now that it is, you know, I'm take the time to get it corrected. So just hang on for the ride. All right guys, I got the radiator out, the cooling fan, and now we're getting ready to start taking the can't even think of it, the evaporator tube, or for the evaporation system. I guess that's what it is. It's an air tube. Water pump, pulleys. I haven't dropped the oil pan yet. I'm going to wait till I get some of this stuff off so I can make sure I got my timing marks to get it top dead center before I start getting into the valve covers and the timing covers. So I got a little bit more to get off the car first. I did disconnect the battery. I'm a little nervous about that just because of I was having all those problems with the original DME. Hopefully I won't have a problem this time. But shoot, he had the DME for, I don't know, a couple weeks, so I guess it'll be all right. So I'll just keep trucking along. All right, so that's as far as I've gotten. Yeah, that's as far as I've gotten. I was hoping to get a little more done today, but I didn't happen. But we did get the crank shaft pulley off. That's what took a little while, was getting that bolt to get loose. That's a lot of thread on that, but I was able to get it off. It's right there. Water pump is off. Alternator's out. That was an automatic transmission, or ATF cooler that's hanging down. That's part of that hose that was hooked up to the water pump. I was surprised at the water pump though. It actually had a stainless steel impeller on the inside, which, you know, it's stamped BMW, but you know, I have a new one to go on. I'm just going to keep the old one just in case I have it as a backup. I probably don't really need to worry about it, but I'm going to go ahead and just replace it anyway. With that said, I've got to take kid number 4 to dance, so this is probably all I'm going to get done with it today, but you know, I'll be out here again tomorrow. All right, so technically it's day 3 working on this car, just with the time that I've had to be able to work on it. Yesterday was raining and I kept getting flooded out from underneath the car with the wind blowing. I did get the I got the oil pan off, and I do have pieces of the timing chain guide in there. I had to use a little degreaser just a little while ago trying to get the rest of this stuff cleaned, but I'll be able to clean it better once I get the thing taken apart. I got all the fuel injector connectors taken apart for both sides. They're off to the side. I'm getting ready to take the valve covers off so I can get the thing in top dead center by looking at the 2 lobes, the first cylinder lobes on the exhaust and the intake manifold, make sure they're upright and pointing towards each other, and then I'll get the things locked back underneath in the flywheel, and then go ahead and start getting these covers off. I can definitely tell why this costs so much. It just takes time to do this. I probably could have gotten done a lot better or a lot quicker if I was actually in a garage. But yesterday it was like 40-mile-an-hour wind plus rain, and I kept getting, my clothes were soaking wet, and stuff was oily, and oily car parts and jacks and jack stands with water just don't mix. It was hard to hold on to even with the nitrile gloves on. So we're getting there. Hopefully we'll have it finished soon, but I'll just keep doing the progress. I'm having some issues with the timing, or the SD card and the camera. The sound keeps going out, so got to figure out what's up with that. So I will just keep you informed with what's going on. All right, I got the valve covers off, and I have the camshaft locked on bank 1 through 4 cylinder, and the camshaft locks on bank 5 through 8 cylinders. So I've already taken the oilers off. The flywheel's locked at top dead center. There are my lobes pointing in the direction that they're supposed to be in. Now we can start getting the vanos taken off. Well, the timing covers, the 2 top and the bottom, and then get the vanos taken off. Then we'll take the camshafts out and inspect each valve lifter. I have a feeling that's where the ticking is coming from. And we'll make sure the oilers are cleaned out good before we put all this stuff back together. So it's coming along. This is to me, this seems like this might be the easiest part. The hardest part was getting the radiator out and everything else, but this is going by pretty quick now. So I got everything off the front of the car, and I've got everything sitting over on a table in the back, kind of in order that it came off of. So now I'll get the timing guides changed, or the timing chain guides changed, and check each valve lifter now that I've got all this taken apart, and then we'll get into the timing part once we put everything back together. All right, so I got all this taken apart, and so I went ahead and inspected all the hydraulic lifters yesterday. I had both camshafts out. I've just set that back on there just so I don't lose the pieces. Nothing's on there tight. So anyway, I pulled out each lifter, and I had a problem with the lifters. Not a single one of them I could compress when I squeezed the piston on the inside. So I ended up pulling out every single lifter, taking them apart, cleaning them, and putting them back together to where they work like they're supposed to. So today I've already started on this side, and you see I've already pulled the first cylinder and the second cylinder, and they're in the same condition as the lifters on the other side, and I'll show you what they look like. So here's the lifter that's not working. There's no piston action on there, and the side's got a hole where oil comes up inside and goes up to the back. The piston itself is, this piece is what sits against the top of the valve. This is the bottom part of the piston that has a check ball, or a check valve, or a ball check valve on the bottom of it. And so when they're working correctly, put that back in there. They work like that. And when it's back in the piston, or back in the lifter, if I can do this left-handed, they work like that. This doesn't do that. So I'll be taking them all apart. I'm using compressed air to clean the inside after I soak them in mineral spirits. So that's where we're at. So that's what we're doing right now. All right, so I had a problem with the new timing guide, or timing chain guide. The aluminum casting was off by about 1/8 of an inch.
and that was not going to work, and I didn't want to mess up the threads going into the block. So I took the plastic guide off the new one like that, and I have put it on the old one and put the old one back in. So it's got a new guide on it, so we'll see how that works. I just finished checking the timing. I used my special nut to move the Vanos unit over to the far left, and then I double checked it with the multimeter, so I'm getting continuity there. So let's see if I can do this with, I'm trying to do it with one hand, holding the camera. Easier said than done. Yeah, let's try this one. I gotta put the camera down. Hang on. And they're both the same size, same side, or both are like that. All right, I have the timing jigs put on both sides. These are just on there finger tight. Well, they are on there finger tight. I forgot their reverse thread. I don't think I tightened them. Yeah, reverse thread. Okay, they're just on there loose. I went ahead and torqued the exhaust cam at 92 foot-pounds, intake cam at 81. Same as on this side. These nuts will be done at 30 foot-pounds. The way these jigs work, they hold that little cog wheel, the sensor wheel, in place with that pin that's down in there. And same thing with, like on this side, there's a pin. This one actually, the pin was out, so I had to put it back in and tighten it with an Allen wrench. So we'll go ahead and get those torqued to the right setting, and then I'll go ahead and start putting the covers back on. I've been watching videos, and I definitely got to make sure before I take this chain tensioner tool off, I've got to put a zip tie on there to hold that in place. All right, guys, we got the moment of truth here. I got everything put back together. Hopefully it starts and runs. It's going to be noisy at first and should even on out. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, I hope I did it right. Well, I don't like the way that sounds. I gotta figure out what I didn't do right. So until next time, like, comment, and subscribe. 73.